Now, another thing I have a huge problem with is people like Nate Diaz just saying they're all on steroids. Brother, the burden of proof is on you. You need to prove your claims. It's like I could say the sky is red. That doesn't mean it's true. I need to prove it. Otherwise, we get stupid shit like this. So he does what's called a baseless accusation, which is a false accusation or claim or allegation of wrongdoing that is untrue and or otherwise unsupported by facts. So false accusations are also known as groundless accusations or unfounded accusations or false allegations or false claims. We're going to take a quick pause here to show you this clip of Nick Diaz, and we're going to count how many baseless accusations he makes in just one small little 2-minute clip.
Yo, Nick, you think your brother should boycott fighting GSP because of what happened to you?
Can't fight for shit. I think whoever tries to make that fight, I'm gonna have to give him a backhand slap.
Is it?
Yeah, and George, if you know what I'm saying, like at the end of the day, like I fought the dude. I had they poisoned my IV with some kind of weird ass drug. Put me. I never slept more than 5 hours in it. I had 37 fights, street fight over 7 years. I never slept more than 5 or 6 hours a night. You have a fight tomorrow. I slept 14 hours. I'm like, what'd you put in my IV, dude?
So
I never had nothing but clear IV. I don't care. And he has something wrong with his wraps. I know that they didn't test us because they were filling up all our piss inside little film containers. I was like, I would have tested for weed that time, if any. All the other time was accusations. I was about to make big money on that one. I wasn't going to test. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to test positive for nothing but weed. I didn't care if I did. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so you support your brother in his boycott?
I'm like, I was flat on the way out. I was like, man, I'm in the best shape of my life.
That's strange.
Yeah, everything was strange.
So it's like a conspiracy. These guys are really out to get...
you know what though? I don't. You know,
do you think your brother should fight him?
No disrespect.
To make amends?
I don't think old George said nothing. I think that people are.
The people did it. It wasn't him.
Put something. Maybe they're just trying to get me to say, "Hey, fuck you," and then say, "Well, hey, fuck you."
So you think your brother should fight him to get revenge, basically?
No. I think my brother ain't gonna. My brother, you know.
He's standing by you.
Nick Diaz Academy. Nick Diaz says who fights who.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Now, of course, the way Connor responded to this was not helpful at all. And in fact, when you respond negatively, it makes people think you're trying to turn the tables on them or you're trying to hide something. But nonetheless, it's understandable given how stupid the shit that comes out of the Diaz brothers' mouth is on a regular basis. You know, what I suspect probably happened here with Nate was he had an experience with his partners, and you'll mention this later in this little thing right here, but what probably happened with Nate was his partners all cheated around him. He saw it very close and personal, so it was a regular basis thing that he saw, and then because of that, he just assumed that everybody else was doing it, so he was using his own personal experiences to make a general conclusion about the MMA population community at large, based on the experiences that he was going through life. And so that leads us to our next point here, is that Nate has never been known for being intelligent either. He's really not smart. I downright say borderline just stupid as shit. I don't like him. I just don't like him. I think he runs his mouth. He's very dramatic. He's a cool dude to watch fight, but he's never somebody I would invite to the barbecue or something. He just seems like he's too much. He would just get in a fight, start shit for no reason. Nick is the same way too. They're both real pricks. I mean, honestly, man, just look through what they do. But to that point, Connor asked him, "Hey, two of your buddies were on steroids. Did you know about that?"
Your two teammates were on steroids. That's your two boys, the scrap pack. Remember that? Well, damn, they were. Did you know they were taking that stuff? Did you know they were taking that stuff? Did you?
You're on steroids.
Sure I am. I'm just an animal.
Nick pauses, ignores the question, and then goes back and reflects it back on Connor, completely changing up the subject, not even addressing what Connor was saying. So Nate knew the whole time. And if everyone's on steroids, does that also include Nate and his brother Nick? Or are they the special exception? Well, given his teammates use steroids, and that Nate avoided the question by his own logic, he seems to be more likely to be on steroids than Connor. At least if we're going off flimsy evidence here, right? If we're going off Nick's or Nate's everybody's on steroids bullshit. Well, we don't really have evidence against Conor like that, but we have clear evidence that people in Nate's camp were using steroids and that Nate knew about it and that Nate is getting defensive. And I think the worst part about all of this is the fans, they just eat it up. They all say, wow, Nate, you're so right. And they say Conor got too defensive. So then they make this make-believe idea of what that must mean, and somehow using mental gymnastics connected to irritation means Conor's guilty. If you've ever seen an interrogation, what often happens with someone who's innocent is when they're accused, they will usually be greatly offended and even dumbfounded at the accusation, especially if it's a stupid one. So they'll be like, no, of course not. And they might even get irritated because, like, how the fuck could you think that about me? And it's something that's quite common. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're innocent, but it's usually a good indicator, right? And now, on the other hand, if they're guilty, what often happens is they feel the need to defend themselves and go on a very long and drawn-out rant or tirade or story. And it's almost like they're waiting for the other person to say something so that way they can stop explaining themselves, as if until the person gives them the approval of saying, yeah, that story sounds believable, they themselves can't stop adding more and more details that they believe would make it seem believable to the other person. So, I mean, Conor did none of this. He just straight said, hey, man, I never did steroids. Keep that out of your mouth. Just straight to the point. Conor didn't feel offended or anything like that based on anything more than Nate being Nate, which is being a bumbling idiot. So, Conor didn't do any of this, but the MMA community at large sees Nate and Nick as gods. But again, by their own logic, then they're on steroids too. So why are they even talking? That just seems hypocritical. It just makes no sense to me. And they act like USADA isn't a thing that exists. Now, of course, there's been issues with USADA, and it's not a perfect system. But if you look at More Plays, More Dates, he breaks it down. USADA is definitely a hell of a lot better than some of these other anti-doping programs out there. Now, again, I'm just saying I don't know whether or not which ones are and are not on steroids as far as MMA fighters. I'm not going to speak to that. I'm not an expert. What I'm saying is we have to have evidence, because otherwise we get people just saying stupid, baseless accusations that have no place in reality, and then you create this toxic cesspool where you can just throw out all these different things that can potentially ruin an athlete's life, their sponsorships, their deals, etc. And those have real life ramifications that are way, they stretch out way far and beyond just a bad reputation.